same trade. So I'm doing just fine. Doing just fine. Doing just fine.
Hey guys, Rob here from Phantom Trading. I thought I'd just do a quick video recap or trade recap video breakdown of my trade from today, which is November 15th, 2021. It's a Monday, and I took this on Euro Dollar at New York session. So we'll start with daily. As you guys can see here, I don't really mark out daily structure, but I usually eyeball it. It's very clearly bearish. We have huge impulsive momentum to the downside. We have a bunch of internal range liquidity here, which I'm kind of seeing and expecting. From when I woke up, I was kind of expecting that this was going to go to, right? Because we had taken all of this stuff out. This to me is just fuel to add to the fire for EU running bearish, right? So see that. I mean, maybe we'll see like some sort of a pullback from here, right? Because we have a bit more of a stronger weak low, and it's also obviously a flip zone, right? We look at it like this, right? Had I not exited the trade, I probably would have expected that we would have ran further, but I figured I just wanted to take my profit on it. So I closed it out, and I'll show you guys how I managed it too. I'm gonna do this. This is from our daily, right? So bearish overall. Same with the 4 hour. I'll quickly mark out swing structure here for you guys. So starting with this, right? Consolidate this entire thing as a leg, right? Or what you could have done is when this low broke, right? Because it would have been like this, right? I would have considered that swing structure. You could have said, okay, this was my swing high, or this is my swing high, right? And then you would have this leg that we're kind of trading in. Then we pull back, we define our pullback, we create a new low, right? So we're making lower lows, lower highs, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? And then price kind of just ranges from here on out, right? Until we break to the upside. So I'll kind of break that down for you guys too. Obviously this is all of October, but I think it's good to kind of explain, how the structure plays out from here all the way up until here, right? Because if you don't understand it, and you don't understand the higher time frame intention, then you're kind of trading blindly in a sense, intraday, right? So to me, this is not a break, right? Because this is such a weak close. I want to see a close this low below, right? It's a bit of like a discretionary thing, I guess you could say, but anytime I see something like this, to me, I'm just seeing this as a sweep of liquidity, and then obviously we shot up, right? So this was my trading range. Obviously what breaks next, the high, right? We push up, and then that would define this as my next low, right? My next swing low. You could have also called it this, right? Because to sort of like think about the logic of it, if price pulled back to here, I'd still be happy to take longs here. And if price pulled back to here, it's up to you whether you would call this your swing low, and whether or not you would wait for a chalk on the 4 hour or 15 minute or not, right? Depending on what your trade plan states. In my case, I would trail my low, right? So this would be my new trading range. I'm expecting highs to break. They do, right? We obviously have a complex pullback here until we break up and out of it, right? So then we're bullish. This is some sort of news. We tap into something over here. Price shoots down. We then shift to bearish structure, right? So this is kind of our initial shift. Then price pulls back, right? Then breaks again. And this to me, see, like if we compare this and this, right? You guys can see this one's a very minor sweep. This one's a strong close. Now the only thing is obviously like this popped up just as fast as it went down, right? So you gotta be a little bit wary of that, but in terms of structure, I'm happy to call this my structure, right? So again, I'm consolidating this little pullback in here. I'm not counting this as structure, right? I don't want to be too like tight with it. And then same thing, low breaks, right? Defines our high. And look, we're in completely bearish structure, right? On the 4 hour. Now let's hit the 15 minute. And let's kind of break down what's happened in just the last couple of days. Super rangy, right? Even like Monday London is just like, what's going on, right? We'll start from back here. So same thing. So you guys get a little bit of practice in on what structure or how to mark out structure, right? How I'm looking at it anyways. I think between me and some of the other team members, maybe we look at it a little bit differently, but overall, I think we're close enough. And here's the thing, I always say it on the backtesting calls, you don't have to be perfect with the way that you mark out structure. You really don't. As long as you're like 80% accurate and you have a good idea of like what's going on, then I don't think there's really that big of an issue. Because at the end of the day, like most of the time, As long as you're consistent in the way that you mark it up, we're gonna end up coming to like the same result anyways, most of the time, right? Okay, so let's see. Obviously we have this big push down, right? If we want to look at like previous structure, we can look at that too, right? But usually I go from left to right. So we would have this, right, which broke this. This is all a complex pullback. We break down, we break this low. I would count this as a pullback, right? Breaks this low, right? And then I'm expecting this low to go, right? What happens, we kind of sweep this. I wouldn't really count it as a break. This, I maybe would, but again, it's just a wick, right? Like it's, at the end of the day, this is really just, I believe this was news or something. Because it was at like, oh, maybe it wasn't news, I can't remember. It's 10:30 on Friday. It might have been, I can't remember. But I wouldn't count it necessarily as a structure break because we didn't close above, right? At least with these we did, but again, it's like so minor, right? So again, I would consider this until we break this low and close below it, which we kind of did here. Again, I would still say like this is my trading range, right? So maybe not conventional. It's maybe not the way you were seeing it, but really I want to see a strong close above or below something, right? So then we see this break up above, right? And I guess just to run back to this point really quick, this to me was a liquidity sweep. You guys see how this swept here and we kind of had a POI. So from an intraday perspective, you probably could have shorted that, and that's I think what happened with this, right? It was a news event, a high impact news event. So we then break up, right? And then I would define this as my low, right? You could maybe use this one, but again, I'm gonna like trail it and use this one. So here's my new trading range again, right? We get a bit of a pullback. I'm expecting, you know, price could either continue to fade off because we're bearish on the 4 hour, or price is gonna come pop up into one of these zones here, right? Even this one here. So let's see what happens. Obviously we know that doesn't happen. We know that structure is overall pretty bearish, right? The other thing I'm gonna quickly like dive into here, oh, actually, sorry, I forgot the last leg here. So this actually broke down here, and same thing. At least this closed like relatively like cleanly below it, but again, price shot right back up, right? But that to me is fine. I would also consider this a break. And again, what's going to be my string structure? It's again, I'm going to trail a little bit. I'm going to trail it a little bit, and I'm going to say that this is my high and this is my low. So this is my new trading range here, right? So now I'm going to talk about the supply chain that we're kind of in here, right? So if we look at this, even just marking out this entire zone here, right? It's not the cleanest thing. Like we have super like rangy price action here. It's not clean in any sense, right? But I'll still try to mark it out. It's okay if price taps into it a few times. Like I'm okay with that, right? I'm not trying to trade directly off of these zones or anything, nor am I leaving, like I'm not leaving limits on them, right? So we have this one. Our next one within the chain, I would say, is this, right? It's not necessarily like, you know, breaking anything. We're kind of like wicking below until we do eventually fall off. But like, again, not trading directly off of this. Maybe you guys could have used this as a POI for London, right? You can kind of see how it's chaining here. I'll just call it 15 on 15. And then we have another one here too, right? So whether or not they're kind of breaking even substructure lows or not, or like, you know, essentially taking out levels of demand, I'm still interested in them, right? Because to me, if I see price kind of stacking one way or the other, whether it's through like supply or demand chains, right? Like this one doesn't get tapped into, but then we can kind of look to see where like our chains continued, right? Yeah, when I see this, right, these chains forming, that tells me there is like nice bearish order flow that's being developed. There's probably some sort of like institution pushing the market around, right? Creating this price action. So then we tap into this wick. And so why am I picking this out? You're probably asking yourself, right? If you're new to Phantom, or even if you're experienced, maybe you know the answer to it, but it's because we're sweeping liquidity, right? Liquidity that was generated by a reaction to something on the other side of it, right? So I'll quickly show you guys this little flip zone here, right? We have, and this is just on the 15 minute. You can apply this on the lower time frames too, but this is a common thing I'll do is where I'll mark out, you know, a zone like this, which is a clear level of demand. It may not be a nice one, but look, we got a small reaction. Price shot through it, right? So we obliterated this level of demand, took out all the buyers that were sitting here and here and here, right? Price sweeps up, taps into a level of supply up here. Like that's really nice, right? Now this one doesn't necessarily do this, and you know, this isn't really even a flip zone, because to call it a flip zone, you would say it's here. But to me, it was nice that price popped down, destroyed demand, and then came back up, mitigated something and ended up getting swept actually, right? So this really just ended up becoming liquidity, right? This flip zone, if you wanted to call this a flip zone. So that's kind of an important thing to look at, right? So same thing, we have super bearish price action on the 15-minute. We hop to the 1 minute now, right? I'll quickly show you guys where I think I saw a pretty nice like continuation play that you could have played. Because if you notice here, right, I'm going to start using my EQ tool to mark out these 1 minute zones, right? Whether you marked out this one or this one, like usually I like to, you know, be a little bit liberal about what I mark out in terms of zones. You'll notice, and I'm not going to dive super deep into like why, you know, there's liquidity here, because I think you guys understand for the most part, right? It's the same thing that I explained here, right? We're having reactions to demand that fail, that then generate liquidity, right? Like this. I think I used the wrong tool for this. Let me quickly fix it. Like this, right? Generating liquidity, right? And then failing completely, right? So we generate liquidity, we sweep it, we tap into something above to continue our supply chain in a sense, right? So I'll quickly mark this one out too. We'll just, again, I don't like doing markups from right to left. You shouldn't be, but you know, in this case, just to simplify it for the video, quickly do it for you guys. And you don't even necessarily need to do this either. It's really just to like understand where, you know, the order flow is like developing, like where price is going, how order flow is developing rather, right? Price pushes down. I believe there was a trade at in and around 8. So I would have definitely been like, I would have had my eye on this. I slept in a little bit. You can ask Aaron about it because I didn't set my alarm properly, but that's okay. And then this I wouldn't really consider because it didn't sweep anything, right? So I'd probably be expecting this to get swept as liquidity. So I can't remember if that gets swept or what happens, but price then pushes down, right? We violate this level of demand. This sweeps here, and I think there was a trade in and around here at 8.53. So had you thrown a limit on this one, it would have been pretty good, right? So this is not the trade that I entered, but I'll put it on here just for the sake of it. All right, price shoots down, and then if we get to in and around the time that I took my trade, I'll just unhide this, and I'll show you guys really quick, right? So actually I did have this marked out too, right, in hindsight. But you guys can see how this demand got destroyed. There's the liquidity that I'd marked out. Same with the one that I marked out from before. It's kind of have a duplicate of it. I was kicking myself for not waking up in time to catch this one, but whatever. What can you do, right? So, I mean, what can you do? You can take the continuation, which is what I ended up doing here, right? So to me, there were a couple places you could have played. I wasn't really looking to trade off of this one, but you'll see how price develops in a second. I'll show you, right? Like you could have counted this as a mitigation, and I think like that's fair if it's within your plan. There's a chance I could have done that, but for me, I was just kind of playing it conservative, so I was looking more so at this level here, right? I didn't really over refine this or anything, right? It's not like I looked at this as demand and okay, we swept something in here on the 15-second. We probably did, but that's not what I was paying attention to. It was more so that we had chained from here to here, right? This kind of pushed up, mitigated this inside bar, and then price pushed down. So this to me was a nice level of unmitigated supply kind of sitting here, right? Where I have it marked out. But then you also have this one, which you can see I classified as liquidity later on, right? As price was tapping into this demand. I was waiting for this demand to fall out, right? So we're kind of, again, generating liquidity in the form of reactions to this demand level, right? Price shoots through it with a ton of aggression. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to set an alert here, and then my alert got pinged. I believe I set it like above this high or something because I wanted to see it go. To be fair, like I said, right, you could have technically shorted this, and I think this would have actually been valid too, right? But had you attacked it, you would have got swept on this, right? So there's always the chance of that. But for me, it didn't take that. I waited. Price didn't even have a reaction to that. When price came up into this level, I kind of watched it for a second, and I'm like, you know what? Who am I trying to impress? I didn't leave a limit on here. I was like, I'm just going to hit market on it. I'll get filled where I get filled, but I want to cover this high, right? Because there's a chance that price could come up and, you know, tap into this or even this, right? I didn't cover all the way up here, but you know, I left a 2.6 pip stop loss. Like, I really don't care at the end of the day. I want to be in it. I want to have some buffer, and I don't want to worry about it. So price taps in, and then it just starts shooting down, right? Now, in terms of management, the first thing I looked at, and this is obviously what I looked at before when I was doing my analysis on the daily and 4 hour and everything, right? I didn't go all the way down to the 15-minute, I'll be honest, but obviously I was looking to the left, and remember what I said at the start of the video. I was saying, okay, there's a lot of internal range liquidity here that's probably going to get taken out, right? You have this, you have these levels here, which I fully expect are going to go. We'll probably, I mean, if anything, we'll probably see like a pullback off of a sweep off of one of these. But other than that, like, I mean, price is bearish. I really see this all as liquidity. To try and catch a falling knife on one of these levels, unless I see like a really nice shift in order flow and like, you know, even swing structure, I would say, right? On the 4 hour, like waiting for a chalk, maybe even a daily chalk, I'd probably wait for to try and take longs. Yeah, if I don't see that, I'm not taking longs on it. Like, there's just no point in trading against like super bearish swing structure and order flow. Like, really, there isn't. So if you were trying to take longs today, take it as a lesson. You know, maybe try not to take 8 losses. Have like a rule about it. For me, it's 3 losses in a day, and no more than 2 tries on any given trade idea, right? Like, I'm only allowed to attack it twice. That's the rule I've set for myself, because I found, you know, when you have decisionals and stuff, you can really like start to accumulate losses. So for me, it's like, you know, I pick my battles, right? Look for the high probability stuff. So in terms of targets and stuff, I think I deleted like my initial drawing off of this because this is my live chart. But if we go all the way here, there was a 15-minute sort of nested inside the 4 hour over there that I'd marked out. And the way I was marking it out was just with the this tool here, right? The horizontal ray. And I was just kind of marking out certain levels where, you know, either I wanted to partial TP or whatever. But the thing is, I saw price was extremely bearish in terms of its momentum. Even on the 50-minute, we just have these huge impulsive candles that are pushing down, right? And then even on the 1 minute, same thing. Like, we're just pushing down. We're not really pulling back a lot. We pulled back to that. This probably would have been like a half decent scale in, but I didn't take that. And look, price just shoots down, right? And then I see like this huge momentum start to develop too, right around like noon my time. And I believe I had my first TP here at around 16 R for 30%. And then as I observed price kind of do this and start to like pull back a little bit, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to exit. First, I took off another, I believe 80% of my lot size or my position size. And then I decided to just exit the entire thing. And I netted a total of 23.98 R between, I mean, all of that with the partial TVs and everything. So that's why I have it set to that. That's pretty much the trade. You could have held it. As you guys will see here now, price continued to shoot down probably to, I think, 30 R, I want to say. Let's find out. But again, like, I don't really care, because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just looking to pay myself. I don't know if price is going to pull back here, what's going to happen during spread hours, that kind of thing. I don't even really want to say it's a confidence thing. Like, I've held trades intraday before, or in between sessions for talking London to New York. I've slept through it. Sometimes I don't feel like doing that, right? Obviously price is like super bearish, but there is such a thing as price exhaustion that exists too, and you know, I kind of want to be aware of that too, right? If price is going to pull back, I don't want to give back all of this like positive R that I had for this trade, right? It just doesn't make sense to me. I can take another trade. I'll take another continuation, or I'll play the pullback or something, right? If we get our chalks and stuff. But for the most part, I am looking to take shorts here. We were in an extremely bearish market on EU, right? So I think that's how you guys should approach it, if it makes sense within your plan. If that's how you're seeing it, I mean, obviously, like, objectively, to a certain sense, like even from the daily, it is very bearish, right? But obviously, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Do your own analysis and execute your plan, right? That's all that matters at the end of the day. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, obviously shoot me a DM or message me in and tag me in the Discord under questions, or comment on the video. All right, take care, guys. Bye.